Okay, I've been sick with the flu for quite a while and still dealing with it. Um, so I haven't done a whole lot recently, but I think I'm able to do one. I think I can get one out here, and I'm probably completely wrong about that, but we'll see how it turns out. Speaking of things being sick or done for, Uh, this little tidbit about Doctor Who caught my notice. So thought I'd do a video on that. And oh, look who's crying, because that's what he does. Yeah. Doctor Who shelved for 5 years. Ncuti Gatwa reportedly quits. Oh no. I don't know why he's got to be so broke up about it. So McCloyne says, as I first told you years ago, it could indeed be hashtag RIP Doctor Who. As now it's claimed the BBC will be shelving Doctor Who and that Ncuti Gatwa has quit the show. It's known that nobody watched Doctor Who on DP and that the series has suffered its worst viewership ratings in its 60-year history. Well, that's an achievement. So what's said about Doctor Who? Well, the claims that Ncuti Gatwa quit the show and that the BBC will be placing Doctor Who on the back burner for half a decade or more comes via the UK's The Sun. The site claims that following the abysmal ratings and the backlash to all the woke content, that Ncuti Gatwa has opted to quit playing the Time Lord so he doesn't further hurt his career. That's actually a smart move, if true. It's claimed that Gatwa has new projects lined up in Hollywood. Well, there's not much of a Hollywood left, but still. And that to save his career, he doesn't want to be associated with Doctor Who anymore, as he doesn't want the negative reception to interfere with his future work. It said Ncuti Gatwa has already quit and even filmed his regeneration exit scene. Wow. So, yeah, that would be a smart move. And this is one of those things, whatever you think of Ncuti Gatwa, it's ultimately not entirely his fault any more than it was Jodie Whittaker's, because both of them neither got to really play the Doctor. These characters were written out all for the purpose of agendas and whatnot. Although I would say that RTD's return was far more woke than even Chibnall. With Jodie's episodes were mostly just stupid and lazily done. Um, every now and then there was a couple in there that were, they functioned at the least and came across as, a Doctor Who episode, which was a rare feat. Uh, for Ncuti, he's really not getting any of that. Plus, it's already within the narrative when Davies did that stupid bi-generation crap. So he's not even playing the real Doctor. He's playing some clone of the Doctor. It's just stupid, but whatever. So shelved for 5 or more years. It's if they're planning to shelve it, it's going to be more than 5. It's further said the crew recently wrapped on Doctor Who season 2, but haven't been told anything about its future and are upset, especially considering there was no fanfare about finishing the second season because everybody knows it's a complete failure, and they finished up to fulfill the contract. They'll dump those episodes, and that'll be that. A reported insider for The Sun says word on the set is that the BBC will shelve the series for at least 5 years. The crew were told not to hold their breath for work on the series for at least 10 years. Oh my goodness. That's a little more than 5. Yeah. It's also said that Doctor Who has been poorly managed, you don't say, and those involved in production that wanted to tell a story instead of an agenda were cast aside due to poor leadership. It's woke when agenda comes ahead of story. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, that's all on Davies. He's fully on board with that whole thing. And really, even before the first episode, even the Tenet specials, that business with Davros, that told you everything you needed to know. So yeah, Ncuti Gatwa never had a chance to play Doctor Who, and this is the fault of Russell T Davies and the BBC overall. They're fully on board with this cult like stuff. But when it all fails, they'll blame everybody else but themselves, you know. So Davies returned as showrunner following the exit of Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker. Davies doubled down on all the woke content when they got the D plus money and reported to be a 2-year deal worth over $100 million. Davies self-inserted and injected woke content into Doctor Who, including actors, episodes slamming capitalism and Christianity, and introduced a new enemy played by a drag queen. There has been no Disney announcement about Doctor Who Season 3. Now, a lot of this stuff, it's how you handle it would have been the difference, but it's how he handled it. You know, he meant it to be an attack on those he just doesn't like. You know, it wasn't just, well, here's this character who happens to be this way or something like that. And having the drag queen, I don't know how that promotes drag queens when you make them the villainous monster while still preaching about pronouns and whatnot. It was very odd. And capitalism, well, that's the stupidity of people like Davies. I mean, you owe everything to capitalism, really, but you know, he he thinks it's brilliant to be against it or something, you know. Anyway, well, the BBC responded to this business. So they said, this story is incorrect. Doctor Who has not been shelved. Well, the the point here is that it will be. So you can get by saying it's not shelved because there's another season on the way. It hasn't aired yet. So technically speaking, there's more Doctor Who on the way. So you see how that works. As we have previously stated, the decision on season 3 will be made after season 2 airs. So there you go. Well, if it was doing well, you wouldn't even really have to point that out. But the odds that season 2 is going to really turn the tide and it's going to start, you know, getting more views and whatnot after the disaster of the previous one is unlikely, since most of this was done for the most part back to back. We're talking about post production and stuff like that they've done recently. So the scripts and whatnot, I doubt that they had enough time to try to shore up some of this and change it in the hopes that, you know, it'll do better. Maybe 1 or 2 episodes won't be as bad, but that's not nearly enough. And after the damage they've done, I mean, Chibnall did it with Timeless Children. He doesn't do anything about that. He doubles down on that and then creates his own mess with bi-generation and all that sort of crap. Uh, it, you know, you've created a Mount Everest hill to climb in order to save this. So it's virtually impossible. So the deal with DP was for 26 episodes, and exactly half of those still have to transmit. And as for the rest, we never comment on the Doctor in future storylines. So that's, he says it's incorrect, but he's not really addressing what's incorrect about it. He just says it has been shelved. Well, technically speaking, it hasn't. Yeah, it says, hey, look, who knows? Weird things happen. Maybe season 2 will be this smash hit. And then, well, never mind. We're going to roll forward with more Doctor Who, and there will be a season 3, you know. If Ncuti's already shot in a regeneration scene, then yeah, you can continue with another actor. But it's more than likely going to end the way Jodie was originally going to end. She does her regeneration, and then it fades to black. You don't see who the new Doctor is because they hadn't really made the deal yet. And then they got this 11th hour swoop in and save the franchise with the return of Davies and getting David Tennant back, all of which I could understand for the state that Doctor Who was in. But he did the absolute opposite of what he needed to do and just basically violated the corpse, and that was it. So this falls in line with Disney wanting to shed DEI and all that sort of stuff. So there's really no hope for Disney to renew the deal. Uh, So worth a mention is that Disney is apparently moving away from the woke DEI content that has infected shows like Doctor Who, which really isn't on them. I mean, obviously they were interested in that's their mindset, so I'm guessing they were okay with the scripts and all that. Very stupid. But the main thing is their own property. So IPs like Marvel and Star Wars that have been an embarrassment and a complete failure for the company for the past 6+ years. It's likely Doctor Who season 2 will do even worse on DP. So season 3 continuing with the streamer would be a surprise. Disney is also pulling back on both Marvel and Star Wars by following their failures on DP due to woke content that wasted billions of dollars. Like many corporations, Disney also recently announced it is overhauling its DEI initiatives. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's too little, too late, really. Um, although, by comparison, the Doctor Who went way much further than the likes of Star Wars and Marvel. But damage is damage, and certainly Star Wars is dead, and Marvel probably is too. Uh, there's a few little spurts here and there, Deadpool and Wolverine and stuff like that, um, but that's just too much slop to recover from for them. So that's it. Whether he shot a regeneration scene already or not, I don't know. There was that little bit about him saying that they were working, I guess, pre-production on season 3, and then they made them cut the line. What was that? The Norton show, I believe, and so that was the problem because they may have been acting, and I'm sure I think Davey said, yeah, he wrote season 3 or most of it anyway. Certainly outlines for it, that sort of thing. Um, which is what you should do in case it does happen, so you're prepared. Just, but then the ratings came back for the show, and well, you see the result, yeah. So, I mean, they better have lots of water on set because dehydration is a serious problem, because he just pours tears every episode, yeah. So, it's concerning. But yeah, quitting the show would be a smart move on his part. Even though the most notice he's gotten was Doctor Who, so he's in a bad spot that way. But depending on what other projects he can jump to, might uh, work out for him. I don't know, but I can't really blame him um, because he never really got to play Doctor Who, not really. And so there you go. So it's probably true, probably true.